Welcome to WiseWit, the channel that brings you fascinating stories and insights in bite-sized pieces. Today, we're going to take a look at the strange and dangerous world of radioactive quackery and how people once believed that radioactive elements could cure all sorts of health problems. Specifically, we're going to focus on one product that became notorious for its deadly effects: Radithor. Radithor was a product invented in the early 20th century by a man named William J.A. Bailey. Bailey was a self-proclaimed doctor who believed in the power of radiation to cure all sorts of health problems. He claimed that Radithor was a combination of radium and water that could cure everything from impotence to arthritis. But the truth about Radithor was far more sinister. It contained high levels of radium, a highly radioactive element that emits alpha particles, which can damage living tissue and cause radiation sickness. And yet, people drank it by the bottleful, convinced that it was a miracle cure. Radithor was marketed as a cure-all elixir and was especially popular among the wealthy and influential. One of its most famous users was Eben Byers, a wealthy industrialist who drank several bottles of Radithor per day. Byers believed that the product was helping him stay young and healthy, but in reality, he was ingesting dangerous levels of radiation. Over time, Byers began to experience serious health problems, including severe pain, bone decay, and abscesses. His teeth fell out, his jaw had to be removed, and his body was riddled with cancer. By the time he died in 1932, his body was so radioactive that it had to be buried in a lead-lined coffin. But despite Byers' tragic death, Radithor continued to be sold and marketed as a health tonic for several years. It wasn't until the mid-1930s that the federal government began to crack down on the use of radioactive substances in consumer products. Radithor was just one example of the misguided fascination with radioactive elements during the early 20th century. Other products, such as radium-infused cosmetics, toothpaste, and even food, were marketed as having health benefits. People believed that the radiation was a form of energy that could boost the body's natural healing abilities. But in reality, these products caused serious harm and led to countless cases of radiation sickness and cancer. Another group of people who were exposed to dangerous levels of radiation were the women who worked as radium watch dial painters. These women were instructed to lick the tips of their paintbrushes to make a fine point, and as a result, they ingested large amounts of radium. Many of them suffered from anemia, bone fractures, and eventually cancer. It wasn't until the 1920s that the dangers of radium exposure were fully understood, and even then, many companies continued to use it in their products. Today, we understand the dangers of radiation exposure and use it only in carefully controlled medical settings, such as radiation therapy for cancer. But the legacy of Radithor and other radioactive products serves as a reminder of the dangers of untested and unregulated medical treatments. That's it for today's episode of WiseWit. I hope you found this look at the history of radioactive quackery informative and eye-opening. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories and insights from history. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of WiseWit.